Digimon, short for digital monster, are mysterious life-forms that are the main focus of the eponymous Digimon franchise. The vast majority of Digimon reside within the digital world, a region of pseudo-cyberspace that was created on the network, and originated from the net ocean, the birthplace of life within the digital world. There are many different species of Digimon, some of which have their own subspecies, as well as unconfirmed and new generations that have yet to be revealed. Digimon originated from an event of a virus possessing artificial intelligence spread onto computers throughout the world. This virus evolved in a way similar to living organisms, changing its appearance and nature on the network, becoming the digital lifeforms that came to be known as digital monsters, which were first discovered on there in 1997. Digimon have been depicted in many different continuities, but some of the settings have differed slightly in each work. That is because interpretations of Digimon differ from creator to creator. For instance, LCD Games' Digital Monster, Digimon World, and in Digimon Tamers, Digimon are distinctive entities that self-evolve, and are seen as AI programs in the digital world created by humans. On the other hand, in Digimon Adventure 02, Digimon Frontier, Digimon are depicted as creatures that have existed from ancient times, and they are half-bodies of spirits that have bonds with humans. In media such as Digimon Sabers, Digimon Cross Wars, and Digimon Story, Digimon were not born as a result of humans creating computers, and instead always existed, living alongside humans, though in another dimension, becoming visible to humans once they created computers and digital technology. Digimon may have been manifested through magic or sorcery, through the ancient art of Onmyoto, subjugating them as shikigami, yokai, or demons, but is now accomplished digitally, making them digital monsters. Digimon hatch from eggs, called digitama. They age via a process called evolution, which changes their appearance and increases their physical powers. Some Digimon act feral, like wild animals. Most, however, possess intelligence, speech, and personality traits like humans. The Digimon life cycle shows Digimon develop in a similar fashion to real living organisms, but do not die under normal circumstances because they are made of reconfigurable data. Old Digimon and Digimon who receive fatal wounds dissolve into infinitesimal bits of data. The data then recomposes itself as a digitama, and the Digimon goes through its life cycle again. Digimon who are reincarnated in this way will sometimes retain some or all their memories of their previous lifespan. In Digimon Adventure, this cycle of reincarnation can be interrupted if the Digimon dies in the real world, although the system-wide reboot allowed such Digimon to finally be reincarnated. In Digimon Tamers, the Digimon's data can be downloaded or absorbed by other Digimon, resulting in a permanent death. The name of a Digimon species is usually based on its form, and may be a pun. For example, Hyakumon's name and design are derived from the Japanese onomatopoeia for unsteady steps, as well as the chick, Gallus gallus domesticus, or Hiyoko in Japanese. The species' name almost always ends in mon, short for monster. This mon suffix is similar to the filename extension, an identifier specified as a suffix to the name of a digital file. Digimon generally do not have individual names, and are instead simply referred to by the name of their species. So the word Agumon, depending on the context it's used in, can either refer to the Digimon species or a single individual Digimon of that species. The Tyrannomon in Digimon Adventure and the Tyrannomon in Digimon Adventure 02 share the same name because they are of the same species. However, they are not the same individual. When a Digimon evolves and assumes a new form, its name changes to match the species of its new form. However, it is still the same individual, despite having a different name. Some Digimon are given names or nicknames separate from their species, such as Zeromaru from Digimon Adventure V-Tamer 01. A Digicore, also referred to as a computer kernel, is a program and data, a collection of numbers and symbols composed of binary code, said to be found at the center of a Digimon's body, that controls the entirety of a Digimon, corresponding to their heart and brain, and analogous to their soul. What is perceived as monsters, cyborgs, among other things by the human eye is all down to information from the Digicore. While a program cannot be classified as a Digimon unless it has a Digicore of its own, in the case of Zero Arms Grani, it is not classified as a Digimon despite possessing a Digicore. As a characteristic of demon species Digimon, they possess a Digicore concentrated with mighty powers of darkness called a Dark Core. Because it is life-threatening to a Digimon if there are abnormalities in their Digicore, it is covered and protected by things such as their skeleton and skin, although many undead Digimon have rotted to such an extent that their Digicores are visible. In Makumon's case, in order to protect its bare Digicore, it conceals it within a lot of smoke generated by the very thing that it is trying to protect, making it unique in that sense. They can also become weapons themselves, capitalizing on their vast amount of information, and are sometimes placed outside the body. Normally, there is one Digicore per body, but there are exceptions such as the 4 holy beasts and Huanglongmon, who each have 12 orbiting their bodies. A Digimon can continue to exist long after its body has rotted away so long as its Digicore remains unharmed, but this also means that the Digicore is a point of failure for the Digimon, as the Digimon will immediately cease functioning if they lose their Digicore. When a Digimon reaches the end of its lifespan, it compresses and converts its own Digicore into a Digitama, leaving behind its data to the next generation. When 2 Digimon undergo Jogress evolution, their Digicores are normally totally fused, resulting in a single new Digimon. When this process is left incomplete, the resulting Digimon maintains its form in a very unstable state. Ultimate Chaosmon, who is both an extremely powerful Ultimate Digimon and an incomplete Jogress, is thus unable to store its Digicores within its body, so they manifest bare. The size of a Digimon is determined by the amount of data and content embedded in their Digicore, and the size of the texture expressing their body. As such, that data may be subject to being unable to be completely rendered due to technological limitations, especially if it is extraordinary in size. The percentage of a specific element within a Digicore determines what and how certain features are expressed in a Digimon, in addition to their pedigree. In the case of Dragon-type Digimon, those that bear the Dragon suffix in their name must possess Dragon Factor data in their Digicore. The higher the percentage of that data, the more the shape of their body becomes a Dragon type. In addition to producing immense amounts of energy, Digicores are also capable of generating intense heat, even reaching the point of causing burns, and are susceptible to overheating if a Digimon is overworked. In response to Program X, several Digimon survived by altering their Digicores. This caused Digimon to be reborn into a form that could take in the X program, and eventually it came to a point where a program that opposed Program X was installed into the Digicore, thus creating the X antibody. Prototype Digimon that exist from before Digimon were discovered have an outdated interface on their brow, allowing them to reconfigure the data stored within their Digicores for such experiments, and upon receiving the X antibody, release the data found at the deepest parts of their Digicore. In some cases, Digimon can manifest from the daydream of a Digicore as a result of the Digicore's very own creativity being released through the interface. Those that undergo Death X evolution, among the Doru series in particular, instinctively hunt the Digicores of other Digimon in order to remain active despite being deceased, even to the point of requiring massive Digicores in order to evolve. The Digicores, souls, of sinners that fall into the dark area are cast into the sentient crimson flames, El Evangelio, which impose judgment upon and offer salvation to them. Being a demon lord type, Beelzebumon would have been completely eradicated by the flames under normal circumstances, including its own soul. However, having assimilated the X antibody into its body, Beelzebumon, X antibody, became able to suppress the will of El Evangelio without incurring the wrath of the flames. Evolution is a power and the process by which a Digimon ages and grows up into larger and more powerful forms. Evolution is similar to metamorphosis in that evolution changes a Digimon from one form to another, sometimes wildly disparate form, very quickly. Digimon evolve with varying conditions. Methods generally being either age, collecting data, winning battles, or drawing energy off a human. Digimon have 6 natural stages of evolution, as well as others obtained through artificial help. Due to the influence of the dark area, the evolutionary trees of any Digimon have been altered, enabling them to evolve into many different forms. While the anime generally presents Digimon as having conceptually matching evolution lines, in other aspects of the franchise, Digimon also evolve depending on how they're raised, including what time they're awake, how much they've fought, how much they've trained, how much they've eaten, and other factors. Evolution can be temporary or permanent depending on the circumstances. Generally in the anime, Digimon evolve for a short period of time before reverting to smaller, cuter forms. In the games, Digimon usually retain their larger forms after evolving. Evolution for Digimon is similar to aging for humans. It is generally a one-way journey whereby a Digimon will grow into a new form as they age and gain battle experience and data. However, moving from one form to another becomes progressively more difficult. Therefore, very few Digimon will ever naturally evolve into their final most powerful forms. However, for the Digimon who are partnered with human allies such as tamers or chosen children, evolution becomes far more flexible. Digimon who form bonds with a human are able to evolve more easily, generally through the use of a Digivice owned by the human. In such cases, the Digimon is channeled large amounts of energy and is therefore able to instantaneously evolve to a higher level. However, these Digimon will generally devolve or degenerate back into a lower form after a fight. Digimon partnered to humans are also commonly able to use special forms of evolution not naturally available, giving these Digimon many different forms. These include armor evolution and matrix evolution. In some cases, Digimon have also been granted the ability to evolve into higher forms by other, very powerful Digimon. In Digimon Tamers, Impmon is able to evolve into its ultimate form by using power given to it by Juchiamon. Kulumon is also able to help Gilmon, Rainamon, and Terriermon evolve, and with the help of the D-genomes it was even able to trigger the evolution of Digimon throughout the entire digital world in order to prepare for the upcoming fight against the D-Reaper, because it is the concept of Digimon, the Digi-Entelekes, given form. During evolution, a Digimon's appearance changes, and many of its other classifications also sometimes do. The Digimon's fighting ability increases significantly, and the resulting Digimon is considered to be of a different species. However, Digimon species, which are connected through evolution, are generally similar in appearance. For example, Agumon is a small dinosaur-like Digimon. One of its evolved forms is Greymon, a much larger fully grown dinosaur, and then Metal Greymon, a large armored and winged dinosaur. However, Digimon can sometimes evolve into forms that appear very different. Plotmon is a dog-like Digimon but can evolve into Tailmon, a cat-like Digimon. Tailmon is able to further evolve into Angelomon, a bipedal winged angel. Digimon species are given many different classifications. Digimon species are classified by their evolution level, which is sometimes translated as generation. Digimon generally hatch out of Digitama as baby 1 level Digimon, the lowest and weakest level, roughly equivalent to human infants. Most Digimon of this level are small and do not have well-defined body parts. Eventually, baby 1 level Digimon evolve to the baby 2 level, a slightly bigger and more complex form that generally still has undefined body parts. In the anime, most Digimon encountered are of the child or adult level, with perfect and ultimate level Digimon being progressively rarer. Digimon of one evolution level are generally far stronger than Digimon of the previous level. There are exceptions where a Digimon has been able to defeat an opponent of a higher level. There are also cases, such as with Loosemon, Arcadiamon and the awakened forms of the Sistermons, where a Digimon is far more powerful than what its actual evolution level would imply. The opposite can also happen, as Scummon and Numemon are seen as some of the weakest Digimon in existence, despite being adult level. For most Digimon, there are 6 evolution levels: Baby 1 level or level 1, Baby 2 level or level 2, Child level or level 3, Adult level or level 4, Perfect level or level 5, and Ultimate level or level 6. In some media, there is a level beyond Ultimate named Super Ultimate level or level 7. The Digimon that fall into this classification are generally considered Ultimate level by other sources. Additionally, some media such as Digimon Story merge the first 2 levels into a single unified, baby level. There are also levels which run parallel to the standard progression, the most notable being Armor and Hybrid. The Armor level appeared in the Digimon Adventure 02 series and other media, and is reached when a Digimon uses a Digimentals to evolve into an Armor-level Digimon. The Hybrid level contains several sublevels and first appears in the Digimon Frontier series for Digimon who are formed by Spirit Evolution. In Digimon Cross Wars and its related media, Digimon have no level. The Digimon Reference Book and Digimon Crusader initially classified Digimon introduced by this series as Cross Wars level, but the reference book later announced, on September 25, 2020, that they would be retconning all Cross Wars level Digimon to have standard levels and attributes. In Digimon Masters, a Jogris level is given to any Digimon obtained through Jogris evolution. It also introduced an Cross level for Digimon who are the result of Digicross, though a June 2020 update turned these Digimon into Jogris Digimon. Most Digimon species are classified into 5 attributes: data, vaccine, virus, free, and variable. Most Digimon fall into the first 3 categories, with free being rarer and variable mostly exclusive to hybrid Digimon. Some Digimon either have their attributed unidentified or lack them entirely. The main 3 attributes serve to classify the personalities of the Digimon. The vaccine Digimon tend to be crusaders, with a great determination to fight against evil and stop injustice, while the virus Digimon tend to be violent, with a thirst for power and domination. Data Digimon, meanwhile, are usually neutral and focus on their own issues. These attributes have a rock, paper, scissors arrangement where virus is generally advantaged against data, data is advantaged against vaccine, and vaccine is advantaged against virus. However, these attributes don't play a very important role in Digimon fights. A Digimon can generally defeat an opponent regardless of attribute if it is stronger than the opponent in evolution level and experience. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth and its parallel story Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory incorporate the attribute triangle as a major gameplay mechanic, where Digimon deal double the damage against and receive half the damage from the attribute it is strong against, while also standardizing free as outside the arrangement entirely, dealing and receiving normal damage from all attributes. All Digimon outside the main triangle, including unidentified, variable and Digimon without an attribute at all are given the free attribute, likely for simplification in the 2 games. Digimon are also classified into different Digimon fields, a concept derived from the Digimon pendulums. Although most of the card games present these classifications as an inherent trait of each Digimon species, this quality is usually ignored in the series fiction, with one exception. In Digimon Next, the DG memories are manifestations of the 8 most prominent fields, and serve as the archetypes of the various classes of Digimon. In other series, the fields only ever receive allusions from various concepts. For example, in the last arc of Digimon Adventure, the Dark Master's armies are named after 4 of the fields, and in Digimon Adventure V-Tamer 01, the V-Tamer tags which Yargami Taichi seeks are named after 5 of the fields. Each Digimon field have a different colored background in the digital monster card game Hyper Colosseum, and the Digimon within a field usually have something in common. For example, the Dragon's Roar field consists of Digimon who resemble dragons. These fields become more important in the Digimon Sabers Another Mission and DS Digimon Story games, where these fields help determine what attacks Digimon are strong or weak to, as well as influence evolution requirements. As another form of classification, all Digimon species are given a type. A Digimon's type is a loose categorization based on general characteristics such as physical appearance. For instance, Agumon is a reptile-type Digimon. A Digimon species is usually classified into only one type. Some types, such as insect type, include dozens of Digimon, whilst others, such as ancient insect type, are unique to only a single Digimon, in this case, ancient Beatmon. Like the field classification, type is considered to be a fairly trivial and unimportant classification. It has some minor gameplay effects in the Digimon card game. Type is referenced occasionally in the anime, particularly when a new Digimon species is introduced, but has little bearing on the action of the show. Digimon are considered to be generally sexless and/or genderless. It is stated that Digimon are not differentiated between male and female, and do not mate. In all Digimon media except for Digimon Cross Wars, Digimon do not have physical sex, and reproduce not through sexual reproduction but through a universal system of data recycling. Despite their lack of physical sex, as characters the individual Digimon will often be addressed according to male or female gender roles, unless they behave as a mindless animal. Digimon can have gender identity which based on the secondary sex characteristics they have, as in several species of Digimon have obvious masculinity or femininity in their name or secondary sex characteristics, such as the male-like Angemon and female-like Angewomon. Gender identity of those Digimon with gender-neutral appearance, without obvious secondary sex characteristics, can also develop as the Digimon grows, notably, based on their human partners. In Digimon Tamers, Rainamon, who was originally self-identified as genderless in the series, and later on, as female, after immensely influenced by Makino Luki. In Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory, Wormmon, a Digimon that had historically been portrayed as masculine, most notably Ichijuji Ken's Wormmon in Digimon Adventure 02, this time Mishima Erika's Wormmon was portrayed as feminine. It was implied that this Wormmon and Erika were starting to resemble each other more and more to the extent that Wormmon's own personality was adopting Erika's feminine mannerisms. This Wormmon eventually evolved into the feminine Hyudimon, instead of the masculine Stingmon. This also shows that Digimon of same species can identify as male or female. Another example, Takenuchi Sora's Piyamon from Digimon Adventure is identified as female, while Daimon Chika's Piyamon from Digimon Sabers is identified as male. Gender can be fairly easy to identify in Digimon, through their mannerism for those with gender-neutral appearance, or secondary sex characteristics for those have them. However, these gender identity vary from character to character despite any apparent genderedness of their design. For example, the Rainamon of Digimon Tamers and the Rainamon of Digimon Sabers Another Mission are almost identical, but are treated as female and male, respectively. This continues for the male Rainamon even when it evolves into more powerful forms with female secondary sex characteristics, like Lilithmon. On the other hand, Alphamon, who is a masculine Digimon, and Lord Nightmon, who has typically been portrayed as a masculine Digimon despite its femininity. In Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, there were Alphamon and Lord Nightmon revealed to be inhabiting female mediums, Kuremi Kyoko and Kishibe Rie, respectively, which in turn adopted their female voices, whereas the generic Alphamon and Lord Nightmon of the game have male voices matching to their original settings. This implies that the plot-relevant Lord Nightmon and Alphamon are now comparatively feminine due to their mediums. The influence is bilateral, however. Alphamon has Kyoko speak with a mildly masculine effect in her language, and when the real Kyoko appears at the end of the game, the fact she uses feminine sentence ender particles is one of the first things to imply this isn't exactly the same Kyoko as before. And it's worth mentioning that, unlike in previous series, Digimon Cross Wars does not depict any real difference between how gender works for humans and for Digimon. Digimon couple and reproduce sexually, form romantic relationships between genders, and have distinct physical genders. When both male and female members of a species appear, they are either depicted with obviously different designs between males and females, as with Basedmon or Mervamon and Iguniquemon, or they lack secondary sex characteristics altogether. Amidst the inconsistency, the general consensus is that Digimon are generally sexless and or genderless, unless they are with obvious secondary sex characteristics which by default, assigning them with the appropriate gender accordingly, whereas those with gender-neutral appearance can be identified as male or female or genderless, according to their mannerism.